Hello, Fiddle here, bringing you another ID review. Today we'll be talking about red eyes and penance. Let me ask you a simple question. Are you afraid of spiders? Because if you are, well, you should probably not have clicked on this stream, because that's what this ID is based off of, is a spider. Maybe that's a little bit of a warning there. But if you're a true person who likes our eight-legged friends and likes red eyes, boy, do we have an ID for you. Do you like the smack things with two big sticks? Do you like one of those sticks that have biblical implications and the other stick to just be a big stick? Wow. We have red eyes and penance. It's like the two sides of religion. One faith and another whacking people. Don't quote me on that. So, how did I feel playing this? So I tried this in the event. This was the main ID I used for the event missions and to complete them. I really liked how this felt, especially in the event. I tried it in a normal mirror dungeon, and I also tried it in the XP, like normal dailies, to see how it would feel in a normal encounter. I will try hard mode later this week, but I don't think my opinion's going to change based on this. This was an ID I did uptie the 4 because if I really enjoy the ID and the buffs really matter, I will uptie it. And in her case, especially for the event, the buff does matter on her skill 3 because her upgraded version of the skill 3 gains 60% more damage, which is just, it's really good. That's a lot. That's a big number to gain a damage buff on that third hit. So this is definitely one of those, like, if you want a big damage spike, definitely uptie at the 4, but 4 is not mandatory for the IDs based, like, underlying mechanics. So let's go through each ability. Its skill 1s. One thing to mention is its skill 3 unevolved is a little bit low. Most are sitting around 50, at least that's from what I've seen, so its offensive level is 2 less. That's not gonna, like, be the end of the world. It's just one thing to mention. Its entire gimmick is, believe it or not, I know it doesn't look like it, but this is a charge ID. So it gains different effects mattering on how much penance, how much red eyes it has. As you can see, like her first skill, she gains more penance than red eyes from it. The more penance you have, the more sanity healing she does on hit, and she sort of goes through different like evolution stages. Her passive is based on like what range of penance. She has 3 stages, and the sanity on a hit healing increases per stage she's sitting in. So you do get rewarded in a way for just sitting on stacks instead of consuming them with the skill 3. And with the red eyes, it does more bleed potency the more stacks you're sitting on. And I think it's HP healing. Let me hover over it. No, it's just more bleed. That's why we hover over and double check buffs. Her skill 2 felt pretty strong to use. It wasn't struggling to clash with anything, which is nice. Of course, the more penance you have, the more coin power. It's a 3 coin, so more coin power on a 3 coin is really nice. It is, I will say, after playing it, it is like W Corp Sync. It kind of feels like a fake charge ID, where it's charge and name alone. It feels a bit more like a bleed ID, or just, it's almost just its own self-sufficient ID, like older charges used to be, because old comps used to just run one of a charge character. Before Oust, W Corp Oust, that is. W Corp Oust gave more of a tribal to charge. But this one's definitely a standalone. It doesn't really need support from other IDs, which is a big, big buff. And one thing to note is that this ID, like Lament, it kind of looks overwhelming when you look at it first. It's like, oh my god, it's doing so much. Fiddle, my brain can't handle it. I can barely read on a normal day. And it's like, I understand you. I get it. This is a really fast thing to grasp. Like, once you get the hang of like the stacks and how it feels to play, it's not complicated. It's a very straightforward builder spender. You don't really need to care about, oh, which stacks are more, what ability I can use. No, you'll be fine just using abilities, and then when you're at 15 on both, you just nuke. It's very straightforward. one thing to mention is that there is a little bit of a timing thing. So you could run into trouble if you don't time things properly with this, because what happens is when it consumes all of its stacks on its skill 3. If you have 15 of both Penance and Red Eyes, you get the super skill 3. And she gets only Ashes Remains. This is a debuff that, to sum up whatever complicated stuff this is, it basically says you don't get stacks for your next turn. Whatever stacks you get, they convert into either SP or healing, mattering of what type it is, but you don't get any more stacks. So during the event, there's a couple of things with the event that require like tight timings. So you could run into some serious trouble if you don't have the stacks you need to hit like a stagger threshold, especially on the big obelisk boy, the big Tendy boy. So that's the only thing to watch for. It's a very straightforward, pretty high damage, and in my opinion, really fun. It's not even like the other charge IDs, in my opinion. Because the other charge IDs, the W Corp, like big hitter, big like builder spenders, they get punished for using their skill 3 early, where she does not get punished at all for using her skill 3. Her, which is a big buff, it's a big boon, because normally with a W Corp Dawn, you feel like kind of awkward sometimes, or even with multi-crack vows, where like you'll want to use a skill, but you just can't, because if you do, it'll be like shooting yourself in the foot. It just doesn't feel good. Whereas hers, she doesn't get punished for using her spender early. In fact, you can even argue it's just a lesser version of her spender. This doesn't consume if you use it early. So that's the biggest, nicest thing about this. Another nice thing is this is another charge ID that's full blood. That is really nice, because in the recent events, things tend to be a little bit more slash resist, and she doesn't have that problem. Like the obelisk and it's not slash resist, but it's slash neutral. The obelisk is weak to pierce and blunt, which makes this ID even better. I think the obelisk from the event is also weak to lust, but don't quote me on that. I know the things resisted the envy, which means using full charge is more awkward with it. So overall, my entire rating for Red Eyes is really fun, handles really well, really easy to pick up and grasp what she's doing. I give it a solid 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, so probably an 8.5. It's not quite with Multi-Crack Faust. Right now I'm saying that Multi-Crack Faust is probably my favorite ID, but this is pretty close. This is approaching that level. So with that, make sure you drop a like, you give a subscribe. They always help. I'm live on Twitch, 5 to 9, Wednesday through Friday, 5 to 9 Central. If you want to drop in, have a chat, come tell me my reviews are wrong, I welcome all of it. I welcome all the criticism. And with that, I will see you guys next time.